Chanoyek. Lina Laka Kelesoro Waramatawat, and I'm a member of the God-fearing generation here at Mana Tabernacle. And I'd like to say welcome back to another youth session. And if you're here, I'd really appreciate it if you would like, to comment, to share, and to subscribe. And then encourage your friends to come by so they can encourage more friends and they can encourage their friends and our family can grow. Now, before I proceed, I'd like to thank the overseer and the senior pastor for allowing me this opportunity to present today's session. And for those of you who are joining us for the very first time today, welcome. In the previous session, we interviewed DJ Brian, who spoke to us about digital marketing. And for those of you who are interested in what we have done till this far, you can view all our sessions at your own time, at your own comfort, on this very platform and on our YouTube platform. Please do yourself a favor. You don't want to miss what we've been doing so far. So without no further ado, let me introduce this incredible woman who deals with major issues dealt by us as teenagers. And we're going to welcome back our very own Miss Eugenia Baloyi, who has previously talked to us about anxiety and depression. Today we'll be dealing on a highly requested topic, which is substance abuse. This is a topic that was highly requested because a lot of people do not have much clarity on this topic, and therefore we will use this time to educate you about this topic. Please feel free to leave any comments in the comment section down below, and we will make sure to get back to you. So, thank you for joining us again. Thank you for availing yourself and coming back. And if you like, it is really an honor to have you back. So let us begin with our topic for today. What is the definition of addiction?
Thank you, Lesego. What a warm, wonderful welcome. Before I can tackle the questions, allow me to thank our senior pastor, Pastor Joylene, and our general overseer, Pastor Wright, for offering this opportunity yet again to be here with you to talk about the topic that is so dear to my heart, that is so close to my heart, which is substance abuse. So in answering your question, Lesego, you asked me about addiction. In another time, we're talking about dependence. So dependence is a state at which one has been using or has used substance to an extent that this person can no longer live without using those substances, or can no longer be able to perform their daily functions. So they depend on a substance to feel okay, to act normal, and to behave normal, and to make sure that they control their thoughts and their behavior and all those things. So when one is dependent, it means that person cannot live without the substances. They can't do anything. They can't get their day running without substances. So in order to clarify also the issue of addiction and dependence, one needs to understand that you don't just use substances today or once and you become dependent. There's a process that one has to go through, or the journey that one has to go through in order to be addicted or to be dependent. Because once off thing, you just at the stage of experimenting or trying it out or just using. But dependence we talk about now, you are unable to live, you are unable to do your functions, you are failing all your responsibilities because of substances. So at that point, you have to understand that you have tried to even stop, but you failed. Everyone else is complaining about your way of doing things. You're failing on your responsibilities, even at school, at home. Like, everyone can also stay, and you also have maybe tried to stop, but you can't. So when you're now dependent, it's no longer upon you, but your body and your brain now has learned to depend on that substance to function or to survive for that day, for that life that you are living.
Can you go more into depth of the process of addiction?
Okay. Since I've highlighted viewers that we go through a process of addiction, or there is a process that one has to go through before they can be addicted. Remember, one has to start with using. Okay, maybe before I can do with the process, we have what we call substance use, substance misuse, and then there is substance abuse. So when someone is using, we're talking about the right way of using it, because when you talk about substances and drugs, we're talking about even the legal ones. We talk about legal drugs, we talk about illegal drugs, we talk about socially acceptable drugs, we talk about over-the-counter drugs that you can just go to the pharmacy and purchase, and then we talk about a lot of drugs. So don't feel like when we talk about drugs, we're talking about hardcore cocaine, heroin, and stuff. We're talking about any little thing that one used to alter their mind, to change their behavior, or to feel like different or better in order to perform their function. So that is when you misuse it, when you use it for the wrong purpose or for the wrong function. So the process that one goes through in being dependent, number one is to use it or experimenting. So most of our people, they started by experimenting. So on the experimentation phase, that is when someone is curious about certain drug or certain medication or certain things that their friends are introducing to them. They want to be cool, they want to hang out with other friends, and they want to belong to a certain group. So they start with the experimentation of those drugs. So in this point, someone is still afraid, someone is still hiding, the behavior has not yet changed, it's still normal, the person is still in control of what they are using. So as we move forward to the second phase, we speak about the occasional use. So with the occasional use, that is when someone even create opportunities that will lead them to using substances, like lying to the parents, manipulating them to say, we're having a party at Lesego's house, so and so and so, just to have some money, some extra cash to can buy substances. At this point, this person lie, and also they've experimented other drugs, because let me give an example of maybe when someone has started with cigarette. At this point, they started to use also maybe with dagga or something else, because they feel like the first one that they started with is no longer giving them that vibe. Like even the friends will say, my friend, you're still using cigarette, that is so low. Can you at least try this one? So they are experimenting here and there at that stage of occasional use. So as you know that occasions now, we celebrate a lot of occasions or a lot of things, so they become so frequent. As occasions become so frequent, that person get more access to substances, different kinds, because remember, as people, as we go to different places, you have your friend has her friend and stuff. So when we meet together in occasions that are different, we expose ourselves to different kind of substances, and if you are so curious enough at this stage, you end up trying some of these things. So to move to the next one, it's called regular use. Regular use, it is a point wherein you no longer care who sees you. You no longer hide your use. You even at home, maybe they suspect or they know, they have evidence that you might be using something. So regularly now you become a user. You can use over the weekends or once a day at night or anything. But as a regular user, you start to use substances. And as a regular user, if you don't have money to purchase your drug of choice, because remember, they are drug of choice, there will be people who will tell you, no, I prefer this and this and that. But as a regular user, if you don't have money, you end up using anything that is available to you. So even your friends can even introduce you to new things without even telling you. I remember at work, most of the people who are using Nyaope, according to the classification that we know of, it's a mixture of heroin and dagga. So as you interact with our service users, we don't have call them patients, we call them service users, they will tell you that I've been trapped into using Nyaope without me realizing, because the people I used to hang out with and smoke with, they would just offer you a joint, but because you take it as it's a normal joint, it's a scaife. I get what they call it, scaife. So you call it scaife and someone gives you, but you don't know what that person is giving you because it's already mixed. You were not there when they mix it. You don't even know what is in there. So that is why it is even hard to treat some of the things, because we don't know what you have taken. You also don't know what you have ingested. So at this point of regular use, you even try different routes of administration. Remember, with drugs, it's either it's topical, that's when you apply it, it's sublingual, and then some they inject it, some they snort it, some they smoke it, some they inhale it, depending on the kind of drug. So at this point, you try even different routes of using substances and trying other new substances. And then the last one, it's the big boss. That's the one that we started with. That is addiction. So when someone now is addicted, that person it's beyond the control of the drugs. Here, it's no longer an issue of willpower for the person to stop using. Even if you can try, even if you want to try, there are a lot of health effects or health complications if you can try to stop on your own when now you are dependent, because you can't do anything without the substance in your body. You can't do your daily duties. You can't even, sometimes you can even fail to wake up, or to even think, or to even logically think, or critically think, or do anything other than just to have a next quick fix. Because at this point, the drugs is now controlling you. You are no longer controlling them, and that is the only thing that makes your life so fulfilling, and that is the only thing that can give you pleasure, that can give you satisfaction at this point. That is why when you are under addiction, you can sell even your phone that they bought for 16,000. You can sell it for 150. Who does that? I mean, at the normal state, can you really do that? So at the dependent stage, that is when you don't find anything pleasurable at all. Even if they can promise to buy you wara, or anything that you have been asking for, you can agree at that time. But behind your mind, you're saying, if they buy me, if I sell that thing, I can quickly find few bucks to last me for a month. With that money, I can buy this and this and that. So you are no longer at your normal state. You are no longer in control of your thoughts and your behavior, your reaction, and everything else that is happening in your life. Like your drugs has taken over your life at that point. Yeah, so that is how it goes. So it's not just a once-off use. So you use it and you use it again, and there is what we call tolerance. So when you start today, I will always refer with cigarette, because most of the people I meet, they say they started with cigarette. So when you start with cigarette today, and you feel somehow, there's a feeling that you will get, ne? So tomorrow when you have to smoke again, to get the same feeling you got yesterday when you started, you need more of it. If you only smoked half of it, you shared with your friends, the next time you're going to use the whole cigarette on your own. That is how tolerance develops. So the more you use, the more dosage the body requires for you to get that satisfaction.
You speak a lot about these many processes that we go through, and it's because of the circumstances or the peer pressure that we experience. When you read about substance abuse, there's talk about withdrawal. So I'd like to know from you, what is withdrawal and how long does it last, and what are the symptoms of withdrawal?
Okay, so withdrawals is when after using substances, remember each and every substance has what we call a half-life. A half-life, it's how high you will be. I don't know how best I can explain it, but then when you use it, there is a certain feeling that you feel, or when you feel high, you cannot be high forever. So apparently some drugs can get you a high of at least 2 hours or 2 hours and a half of or 4 hours. So after that 4 hours has lapsed, the drug is worn out. It's out of the system now. So that is when you withdraw. So when you withdraw, you will experience, some they experience pain, some they vomit, some they have got seizures, depending on the drug of your choice. Remember, I indicated that drugs are not the same. So even how how we react to them as people, they won't be the same. So some will have joint pains and stuff. So the excessiveness of the withdrawals will depend on the drug that you have used. And also because most of the people, once they realize that they are withdrawing, that's when they run around to find money. They steal, they do this and that in order to get money to maintain that highness. So when you are at the rehab and you start to withdraw, that is when they will give you maybe medication to supplement, because now the body now is telling them that it is about time to have that quick fix. So when you are at the rehab, they now give you something to supplement your drug in order to be okay. But they differ in terms of what drug are you using.
A question has come in from one of our viewers. It says, when can I say that I'm addicted to something, or when can I be worried about my addiction?
Okay, so this is how one can tell when your substance use is now hindering your daily function. When your substance use now affects your schoolwork, if you're working, if you're a student, if you're working now, it affects your performance at work. If you have tried to stop using but you failed, you relapse again. So if now it causes you to have health effects, and then now you try to even have create opportunities for you to have substance, that's when you should start to worry, to say, now I'm no longer at that state. So as a person, you will know how far are you in terms of the stages as I've presented them. So you will know that now I'm in a danger zone. But then I wouldn't advise someone to wait until now they see their signs, because substances or drugs, they don't have a good intentions in someone's body anyway. That is why even in hospital, like I indicated before in the previous presentation, to say even the doctor prescribes something for a specific period, for even the frequency of using, they make sure they are intense with their times and the dates and how often, because they know it's habit forming. Habit forming means it can cause you to depend on that. So I don't see someone waiting until now they are having those effects. So it's not good to even try it.
And then for somebody who's having these effects, like what type of effects are these that you're talking about?
Okay, depending on the drug of choice, we have got physical effects. Physical effects, it's when drugs now affect your physique, your body. For example, when you use alcohol, you will have to start with your pusa face now. You will be able to see you looking like a 50-year-old in the body of a 16-year-old. And then we also have health effects. When we talk about health effects, we can go as much as having heart problem, having kidney problems, having a mental problem. We talk about psychosis. That is a mental problem. We talk about irreversible brain damage, something that can no longer be treated. They will have to make sure they maintain you in order to function with anyone else. But when we talk about intense things, health effects that are too much dangerous that we cannot even reverse them at some point. But that differs in terms of what drug of choice are you using, because some drugs, okay, maybe to clarify more on that one, let's look at what the classification of drugs. We have the central nervous system stimulants, we have the central nervous system depressants, we have hallucinogens, and we have inhalants. Let me break this down for you. Let's look at the central nervous system on its own, like you do in your, what do you call it? Was biology on our time. What do we call the subject now? Life science.
Yeah, life science.
Okay. So the central nervous system, it's what controls our body. We're talking about the brain and the spinal cord when we talk about the central nervous system. So the function of the central nervous system, it controls our thoughts, it controls our movement, it controls our emotions, our desires, our breathing, our heart rate, and it also helps us to release the hormones and also the body temperature. Bear in mind all those things that I said, it's the function again. So let's look at the drugs as they classified. We have the central nervous system stimulants. So something that is stimulating, it means it makes something to be more effective, right? So let's give an example of a central nervous system stimulant. We're talking about caffeine that is found in coffee and also nicotine. It's a central nervous system stimulant. So what they do, they increase the heart rate, they increase anything else that is functioning in the body. It's now increased. It's as an escalated rate. So every function that I've indicated here, the breathing becomes more deeper. The movement and the thoughts and everything becomes so fast, because now this your central nervous system is no longer functioning at a normal rate. At this point, it is now stimulated by substances. So when the heart beats faster, the pulse rate is faster, the blood circulation is faster, everything in your body, it's at the marathon at that time. So that are some of the drugs that one use that falls under that classification. Okay, the second one is the central nervous system depressant. So at this point, your mood is depressed. You don't want to do anything. Like you're not interested in anything. Like, we spoke about depression last time. So when you use those drugs, you find people sleeping on the streets. Like they are high, they don't want nothing. Even their pain perception, it's depressed or it's suppressed. Even when they are hurt, they are cut with whatever bottles or anything when fighting with someone, they don't feel pain at that specific time because their pain perception is suppressed. Until now the drug is out of the system. That's what they realize, I've been hurt, man. You see, so at that time when you use those substances, it suppresses you. That's why people get raped along in the bars or anything, because when you use those substances, you pass out. You don't know yourself. Like the brain shuts down. Most of the things are no longer functioning at the rate that they should function. So that's how. So in this depressants, we're speaking about painkillers. Painkillers are there to suppress the pain. Hence, even when they give you in hospital, in the doctor, they tell you the side effects. Drink them while you're at home. Don't drink them and drive. Why? Because you'll end up having blurred vision or anything and cause accidents. So they have warnings in all these things. So these depressants, if also alcohol, it forms part of the depressant, and then also heroin and lean. That is what is fashionable right now. So we also have hallucinogens. Hallucinogens are drugs that lead to someone hallucinate. Hallucination is used when we talk about hallucination, we talk about the five senses, right?
Yes.
You know the five senses. Yes. So you hear things that other people cannot hear. You see other things that other people cannot see. Even your taste of whatever that is tasting is different. Again, you feel like there are bugs crawling under your skin or something. So all the senses now, they are at a bizarre rate. So that's what we can talk about. So we also have what we call inhalants. So inhalants is the drugs that you use them through inhaling. I'm not sure if hubbly bubbly falls part of the inhalants, because once you take it's a vapor. So when you take it through, it goes into the lungs. The lungs requires oxygen, not water. So those who are using what we call hubbly bubbly, be careful. You are damaging your lungs because you are putting the foreign substances in the wrong place. So also in the inhalants, we could also have examples of glue and let me not indicate some of the things because people will try them because they are just something that we have in the house as ladies, in the house as mothers. So it's something that we are using for the right reasons, but other people might use it for the wrong reasons. So that is how this substance are classified. And the dangerous part is someone is using a depressant and a stimulant, mixing them together or within the same day or at the same event. So as I've indicated what the depressant does and the stimulant does, tell me how the person will react when they mix them both. You use a hallucinogen, you use a stimulant at the same time. What happens to the body? It's a bomb. You start to see things, you start to act like a crazy person. At the end of the day, you are running around and everything. So that is why maybe other people, maybe they end up being diagnosed of they're crazy, they're labeled and everything, and they are no longer cool with their peers. Yeah.
We spoke about depression, guys, last time, and honestly, I'd advise you to review that. And I know that you guys are learning a lot and you're learning more than expected. Even I myself am shocked by what it is that I'm learning today. And thank God I have this very, very excellent platform to learn something like this. One of the people in the comments have said this is very informative, and truly we are blessed to have you, Miss Baloyi. And they're not wrong. It truly is a blessing to have somebody who can come and educate us about things like this, because not all of us have these type of resources available to us. And yes, guys, do not deprive your friends and your family, your loved ones, everybody around you. Do not deprive them of the chance to learn and be educated just like you are. So let us continue so that we can continue being educated. Miss Baloyi, I believe you're working at an organization that has exposed you to a lot of drugs that are challenging us as the youth people and also even elderly people. Can you share with us what sort of drugs are more prevalent amongst young people, more especially here in our surrounding areas?
Okay. Let me not specifically speak about the surrounding area, because in my institution we work with everyone in the province and everyone else who might need help. So most of the drugs that are prevalent right now, okay, let me talk about the most fashionable one, which is lean, and which is it's not easy to detect or to see if someone is using that. And even myself, if I meet you using that, I don't want to be called judgmental or something, because it's pure Sprite and mixing it with codeine. You understand? So you can easily miss it even in your house when your child or your friend or your sister or your brother is using it, because it's just cool. They will be taking it in a glass. It's just pure transparent Sprite. And how then do you tell that someone is indulging? And then the other thing will be hubbly bubbly, like I indicated. Most young people have got the wrong perception about this thing, because someone have told them it's just flavors, it's just a smoke with flavors and stuff. Let me tell you, hubbly is as deadly as any other drug. And it is said that 1 hour session of hubbly, it's equivalent to 20 cigarettes. So imagine someone who is seated in a session with pipes, like even ladies now, they think it's so cool to have smoke covering their face. And they don't know about the long-term effects about that. So let me educate you. Hubbly is deadly as any other drug that you can think of. Depending, doesn't matter whether it's strawberry flavor, whether it's mint flavor or whatever. The mint does not take away the effect that the drug has on a person. And also the issue of nicotine, which is cigarette. Yes, it's socially acceptable, it's accessible and everything else, but it doesn't make it cool for one to use it, because once you're addicted, you cannot live without. You feel like your brain is itching or something. Someone who is using a cigarette, when they didn't take one, they are agitated, they run around, they can't sit still, because now the body wants it. And also the issue of alcohol. Yes, it's socially acceptable for people above the age of 18, but it doesn't mean that the person who's using it might not have effects. It has as much effects as any other illegal drugs, even though it's legal. And also with dagga also. Dagga, it's more prevalent. Even now that they're saying it's legalized for home use. For home use. I believe when they say that they were looking at our older generation that was using that as a herb to treat even some labor pains and other maybe cancers or maybe any other thing that they were treating. I'm not saying prescribing now. I'm just saying when they legalized that, they thought of those people to say there are people who are using it, not abusing it. But our generation now is using. So that is mostly what I can say about the prevalence or the drugs that are there now. Even the issue of cat and crystal meth, it's something that most of the people are using right now.
A question has come in from one of our viewers. Can one get addiction to medical drugs to the extent that they lead to using dangerous drugs such as cocaine?
Yes, one can be addicted to even legal drugs. Remember, when you use drugs, you have a reason behind using it, whether to feel better, to calm yourself down, or anything. But there comes a time wherein that drugs had been, you have tolerated, the body has tolerated it so much, so it's no longer doing its job. So you no longer feel like it's relieving whatever you were relieving at the first place. So you end up using something else that is more stronger than what you have used before, because that one is no longer doing the job. So you end up trying to find other things that will supplement the drug. So that's when you end up using even the illegal ones. So it doesn't mean when you're using the legal one, you're in the right track. We can only use the legal one under prescription. If something is out of prescription, let me tell you, you are abusing it or you are misusing it.
And then, is there anything that is more addictive than drugs, that could harm drugs? Because you speak about things being harmful or till a certain extent. So can you elaborate, like, what is more dangerous than drugs?
Okay. I cannot compare it as I'm seated here, or what is more addictive or more dangerous than drugs, because every addiction has its own long-term effects. Okay, let me give an example of gambling addiction. Someone who has gambling addiction will have its own consequences other than drugs, because drugs, we're talking about health effects, social effects, the family gets to be destroyed and everything, the relationships and stuff. Whereas on the other end, with gambling, you're destroying yourself, your reputation as a person, you lose your job, you lose your everything. Some, they even sell their assets, or they lose their houses and their cars because of addiction, of gambling addiction. They have to, even their children has to move from private school now to public schools, or relocate from town now to live in other location or anything. So I cannot compare to say there is another thing that is more dangerous than the other, but I believe that everything that is harmful has its own effect, and we cannot compare the two. But the fact that they have effects or they have a long-term impact, I think they are equally wrong, or they are equally not benefiting to a person.
Guys, please feel free to ask questions. Keep going in the comment section down below. In this case, let me read a few questions from our viewers so that we can try and get through as many of the comments as possible. Sometimes people say, I think it's better to do them at school. Sometimes people say, I think better or do better at school when I take a substance. What do you have to say about this?
Okay, young people, and every viewer at home. That is a wrong a perception. That is a myth. Believe you me, the time I was still doing prevention programs in schools, I would even tell learners to say, if really Dacha was making you good in maths, I believe the circuit will purchase that. I think it will be a school property. They will have a session or a class or that we go on a break to smoke. I think that will be prescribed. It will be given to anyone to say, but this helps us, or it advanced me in this and that and that. But then at the end of the day, those who are using those substances, if they were smart, they become dumb. They no longer do their work. They no longer meet their deadlines. They no longer take care of themselves. They don't bath. They don't take care of their rooms. Is a mess. Like their life becomes a mess. You find that this was a super child who was so intelligent, was an A+ student. But now since they've started using, now they are dropping down with their level. So that one is just a misconception. I don't believe it is possible.
And then let's say I've been using and then I have a disorder or a physical changes. How do I reverse those type of effects?
Okay, that will depend on the extent in which you have used. Okay. Right? Because I indicated that there are some of them that are irreversible. But then there are those that maybe after you have identified and then you go through, find some help, they can help you to maintain or to be normal again. Remember, for someone who's addicted, they take a lot of time doing wrong things. For you to go back to normal, it also will need time to reverse a bit by bit by bit. Remember, one author says behavior is learned. It can be unlearned and you can relearn the good one. So learning takes time. So you can go back to, but depending on the level of your use.
Wow. Lots of children smoke marijuana because they think it's a hardcore drug and because it is legalized. What types of mental disorder can marijuana cause?
Okay. Marijuana can cause psychosis. Psychosis, it's a mental brain dysfunction. That's when at home we call someone who is mad. Marijuana causes irreversible damage to your brain. So when it's damaged, we cannot reverse that one. It can also cause us one to have schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is one type of another mental problem that one would suffer. So with schizophrenia, you have hallucinations. I indicated hallucinations. We have delusions. Delusions is a belief that something is happening, right? With hallucinations, you are feeling that. But with delusions, you believe. There are different types of delusions where you feel like someone is out there to get you, like paranoia. So you feel like someone is out there and then you believe that there is someone who has been banging that door. Or you believe someone is out there to get you. You can't even go out at night or something because someone is out there to get you. Or you believe that you have supernatural powers. So that those are kinds of mental disorders that one might have. You have your mental instability and your reasoning capacity is not logical anymore. What you say, your perception of the speed, of the distance, your judgment, everything becomes distorted when you use marijuana. Most of the effects in marijuana goes to the brain, other than the others. They do have others that points in any part of but mostly it covers, it affects the brain.
And then how do I help someone as a concerned friend who doesn't want to come across as attacking the person or judging the person? How do I help someone who's using?
Okay. So here we are talking about someone who's using. We don't know the extent, right?
Yes.
So let me explain maybe a few things about the kind of help that is there. Depending on the stage of use that you are at. Remember, I indicated there is experimentation, there is social, there is regular, and there is dependence. Someone who is still on the experimentation, we offer that person re-education. Now we educate you about your drug of choice or any other things that you might have tried, and we help you also with lifestyle changes. When someone is now on the other stage, We talk about re-education also. We talk about early intervention. Early intervention, that is when we also call you in the office. Then we have several sessions talking about your life now. What is wrong? Trying to find out if there is any other things that perpetuate to your use of substances. And also, when you elevate to another stage now, that is when now we'll look at another treatment options. That is when you have to go for treatment. Remember, the first one was prevention, right? We educate you, we tell you about this one. Even the second one is early intervention. It's sort of prevention, but with an intense information and intense sessions that we offer. And then the third one would be now looking at how far are you with your addiction. Can you function? Can you work? Can you do your work? Can you do all those things? But while receiving treatment, that is when we need to talk about outpatient and inpatient. When we talk about outpatient, is we giving you treatment while you're in the comfort of your home, because we don't want you to lose your job, or we don't want you to fail your matric while you're in treatment. But there will be a time wherein, even if we see that you might fail your matric, it's better to repeat and help you have your life in order than to let you fail your matric again still. And so we check on this option between inpatient and outpatient. So outpatient, you get your help while you're at home. You receive sessions, you get sessions and appointments where you get help. But you need to make sure when you're on outpatient, you don't mix your treatment that we are giving you with drugs again. You come to my office dishonest while you continue using. Now that you want to please your family, or you were suspended at school, so you want to prove to the school that you are going out for help. Meanwhile, you're not helping at all. You're not helping yourself. So there are a lot of defense mechanisms that other people may use when they are in outpatient. They may minimize their use, they may rationalize their use, they may hide their spots where they use, change where they use, so that before the eyes of the family and the therapist, maybe they might look like they are okay. Or when you know that you're going to a session tomorrow, you don't take at all today. But after a session, because it's not a daily thing, yes. So we have got inpatient. Inpatient, that is where I'm working now. So there we admit a person for a specific period of time. Depending on an institution, we admit for 90 days. Others for 60, others for 3 weeks, others, it depends on the treatment that they offer. But within that 90 days, we admit you there full time there. Then we provide with everything, cosmetic, food, and everything. So when you are there, you start with detoxification. We offer you with detoxification. So before you can see any therapist or you can attend to treatment sessions that are available, you start with detoxification. Now, detoxification, I know some of you guys, viewers, will be asking yourself, what is detoxification? Yes. Detoxification is a medical way of cleaning your system, removing the toxins from your blood. So when you are in the detox, they clean you. Even when you have those withdrawals, they give you a medication to supplement in order for you to withdraw at least at a healthy rate. So within that 7 weeks of detoxification, you don't see a therapist because mentally you're not okay, you're not ready, you're not strong. You are still battling with this thing coming out of your system and you are not stable at all. So after that, you move into the dormitories where you will stay there for how many weeks? 11 weeks, because you've already spent the first week on the other side. So at that side, that's when you attend the therapeutic sessions, which is now integrated. Like I indicated previously, we have got a psychologist, we have got the social worker, we have the occupational therapist, we have got the nursing team, even the care workers. So within that program, together, we develop the individual treatment plan. Individually, everyone who enters there, we are not the same. You have used different substances for your different reason. Your family setup is not the same. You might be raised by a single parent, the father was not a part of your life, or there may be other issues that made or perpetuated to your use. So we need to deal with all those dysfunctionalities of your life, so that when you go out, we don't only treat substance and then we leave the rest, because they are triggers. They are those things that will also make you to relapse and go back to drugs. So we treat you for that 12 weeks and then we discharge you.
And then if I have a friend and this friend is using, but this friend, like, they refuse to see that this is a problem. Like, everybody around them can tell that their using is too much. How do I help somebody who refuses to see the problem?
Okay. I think maybe I can link it with the other one. How do you help your friend? I remember that maybe I did not cover enough. You can approach your friend non-judgmentally. Remember, don't be judgmental. Be an understanding friend. Sit down with a friend. Allow them to be vulnerable to you, to talk about anything without them you judging. and you must make sure that you are a good friend. You keep the information confidential. You don't disclose to any other person. Allow the person to talk to you. Ask them what is wrong, when did it start, why are they using, and anything else. And check if they've thought of getting help, because some may have tried and failed. Some they have tried, maybe the family were not supportive or anything. So you must be there and be able to listen. And also, before you can approach maybe someone, you must have maybe information on what you want to ask, because you may find someone you are asking but you don't want to come up with a solution. So sometimes it's okay to read about it, and also to listen to them as they tell you what is that is going on, and then check with them if they are willing to go for help, and then also be informed to say, but this is the kind of help that is available. You can take along your family, or you can start this journey alone, but along the way your family will also be involved, right? Again, what was the other question?
It was somebody who refuses to see a
Okay,
problem.
we have got a way of helping someone who does not want treatment, but we need to prove to court. This way we go to court. We need to prove to court this person is a danger to themselves. This is the Lesego. She's a danger to herself. She start cutting herself. She's not herself. She's no longer eating. Like she's harmful to her own self because of using. She's a danger to the family. She breaks the windows. She does this and this. She steals for us. She does this and this and this and this. There should be evidence to say on this day this is what she did. The last one, you must be a danger to the society. Now you go out there, you cause other people's life, you endanger other people's life. So we have to prove that to the prosecutor. Now, as a social worker, I have to compile a psychosocial report and take it to court to say, but magistrate or prosecutor, this child has a problem of this and this and this and this. According to section 33, involuntary services are required. Then they give us a court order. Wherever you are, if you don't want to come, the police also will help us. They will take you by force with the date that is recommended, and when the treatment center says there is space, you can come, then they bring you to us involuntarily so. And unfortunately, when you come there involuntarily so, you don't have power to say high, because those who voluntarily come there, they have got the rights. I agree, it's a constitutional country. We have rights to say I can refuse health treatment. So someone can say Nike sharp. I think I'm fine after 2 weeks. I think I'm fine after a month. I can't stand 3 months. But if you come with court order, unfortunately your rights are limited. If you choose to go, it means you are going to prison.
And then one of our youth members were asking, and please listen to this answer. They are asking, how do you get over drug addiction without going to rehab?
Okay. It depends on the stage or level of your addiction, right? It's not that easy. Like I indicated, there are health implications when you withdraw. Let me give an example with alcohol. When you're addicted to alcohol and you start to just stop, like you just wake up and you don't want to use it, that the health complications are so intense that you even have seizures. You can just fall down. You can even die from those seizures. And then even in the treatment, some of the treatment centers, they don't detox alcohol. You have to go to a hospital where you have the whole medical team to attend to those withdrawals, because the possibility of dying are very high. So depending on the stage at which you are, like I indicated, we have early intervention, we have prevention, we have this and this and this and that. At the prevention level or at the experimentation level, yes, you can stop. It's just a matter of deciding. It's a willpower there. I decide not to use it. I decide not to hang out with those wrong friends. I decide not to do this. Then you still have that courage. It's not yet an addiction. Even on the social use, you still have that willpower to say, hey friends, I think I have taken the wrong journey. Now I think I am out of this. Don't include me. I can. But when it comes to regular use now, the habit is now formed. It's no longer easy for you to stop on your own without even help. So you may need help with the detox. The medical team is important for you to detox. So most of the people who come for outpatient, remember I spoke about outpatient, they start with detox. Because as a professional, if I assist you outpatient and I tell you to stop, I'm killing you. Because I don't know how your withdrawals will lead to. You might sleep and not wake up. So we have to take you to detox first, safely so, with health professionals. When you are clean now, then you can come soberly so to the sessions, then we attend to you. Because if you are not sober, there is nothing we can talk about. Remember, when someone comes high for a session, it won't materialize.
And then can, like, going to prayer or attending conferences, things like that, can they help one get over using substances?
Okay. Like I will still refer back to depend on the stage of addiction. Remember, as we work at wherever I'm working, we also have spiritual people. We have pastors who come for morning devotions and afternoon devotions. It's part of the treatment. It's integrated. It's not a standalone treatment that one will receive. I'm talking about at the stage of dependence. But at the stage where you are still in control, yes, you can get support system, your pastor, your youth group. When you are vulnerable about it, you tell them about it, you talk to them about it, so that when you crave, when you have a problem, when something triggers you, you still have someone to talk to. You can call to say, ish, you understand? Now you still have time to can talk about it. But then when you are dependent now, you need everyone else. So the prayer team or the pastor become part of the whole treatment program.
As the youth, this in our teenage phase and everything, we find it very difficult to talk to our parents about some things. And not in the sense of they're not open or willing to the idea, we just find it difficult to talk to them. And let's say I'm using and I can't talk to my parents. What measures can I take for me to get clean or for me to get better?
You can talk to me. Okay. But then you remember you'll need support. So if you can't get support from your family, and your family becomes a trigger to what you are using, like maybe your parents are always fighting, or they are having financial problems. I'm just giving an example now. And then now you want to stop using. You might stop using. You can try and work that one out. But then if those triggers are not dealt with, they will still trigger you to going backwards. You understand? So yes, you can go out, look for help from a social worker, depending on the stage. Remember where you are at. You are using at which rate and the impact that it has on your body. So if you're still at experimentation and social use, yes, you can just decide one day I'm no longer using. But then you check also, what was the reason for using at the first place? Why did I use? Was it peer pressure? Was it boredom? Was it because I was anxious? Was it because of this? So we should try to look at the roots of this thing. Why did I start using? Is that thing eliminated? Is it solved? Is it treated? Or what? Was it out of curiosity? Now that I'm curious and then I found out, can I go back now and be normal again? So there are a lot of things to consider as you want to stop or as you want to start. Like, you need to look at all those things.
And then I've taken the step now to get help. What type of institutions, such as the one that you work for, like, are the things confidential when I get there? And what more help can you offer me besides what you have mentioned?
Okay. Every patient or service user is treated with confidentiality. Every information gathered there, it's for the purpose of treating you. The only people that can share your information is that team I was talking about, for the purpose of helping you. Let's say you're talking about you have had a previous suicidal attempt or thoughts. It's me, it's the social worker, you're in my office, you talked about all those things. And then I realized, yes, this one is not my specialty. Even if I can attempt, I might not get into it correctly. Then now I have to talk to the psychologist. You see, that is why I breach it's not breaching anyway, because we are there for help. So that is one that I can talk to. But other than that, your information is confidential, your file is confidential, it's kept in a confidential place wherein other people that are not supposed to see the file might not see it. Even also the staff that work there are not allowed. Even let's say you admitted and someone who's working there, personnel in cooking or in security or anything, they know you, they're not allowed to talk about you outside with their neighbors to say, I saw Lesego Kai and this and this and that. So it's strictly confidential. Your information is confidential. Whether you go to a public sector, in a local office where you're still starting to find help, because you have to begin somewhere in a local office of a social worker, every step of the way, information will be kept confidential. But there will be breach of confidentiality if what you are telling me is going to harm someone. Yes, we cannot keep the information where you say, hey, You understand? We need to protect her. You understand? And also protect you from yourself. So there are some things that we cannot just say it's confidential matter while other people's lives are put in danger.
I'll read another comment from one of our viewers. It says, friends, drugs are a problem, and most people that are addicted, adults today, some started when they were young, and it was being cool. This matter of being cool, guys, it's peer pressure. It takes a lot for you not to conform to peer pressure. It takes a lot of a person to just have self-respect and self-discipline. She has mentioned throughout the whole session how it affects you and long-term wise. Yes, you can get rid of it now, but there are effects that continue like everlasting, and they continue going forward. So if you start taking substance abuse, or you fall into any form of using just because you're getting pressured and stuff like that, think very, very long and hard about the long-term effects that come with doing such things. And the long-term effects, they're not minor things that can just easily be treated. She has mentioned that some things are irreversible, and here from Mana Tabernacle hosting these sessions, we want you guys to be alert, and we want you to be aware so you do not fall into these type of traps. So please make sure that you share this with your friends so that they are aware of what is going on around them, and they can also help the people that are going through these stages. Another question that has come in is, what can you do if a child or teenager gets addiction from their parents? So meaning it has been passed down, if I'm saying it correctly, it has been passed down.
Okay, maybe let me clarify this on the issue of addiction, right? It can be genetic, like the person is saying, and then it can also be environmental. Environmental is based on the environment you find yourself in. It is promoting the substance use or not. So one can easily be addicted because of where she's staying, the person is. But then if it's now passed through genetically, so it is the responsibility of a family to know what is in the genes of the family, like, because it might be in the gene, but if you don't use substances, we will never know that it's genetical, because you may find that the person who have been using in the family has long died and everything. But for someone who it's in the genes, once they start using we can predict that the person will be addicted. So if you know that maybe one of your family member is addicted or something, it's better not to even try, because you might end up being like that person. Everyone starts saying, I'm in control, I can control it, I'm doing it for pleasure, I'm just drinking here and there when I'm with my friends and stuff. But then the main issue is, it's better to find help if that person is addicted, because now they're indicating that the child is addicted. Remember, last time we checked, the youngest child who was addicted in a rehab for children was 9 years old. So we have institutions for children, we have institutions for adults. So no one is immune to substance abuse. So if your father is now an addict and they drink and leave everything around, they keep their whiskeys and everything in the house, their cigars and stuff, be mindful that whatever that you leave exposing to children will start to try. They will want to, because they feel like it's pleasurable. Remember, behavior is learned from home. What my parents does, I think it's okay, it's good. If my mother can do it, I mean, it's a good thing. So we learn manners and everything and respect and everything from home. So is the bad behavior. So if everything else around us is parking, is teaching me to be like them as a role model, as my father, then at the end of the day, I might be like him. And if a parent can say, don't do this, and while they're doing it, I mean, they're contradicting themselves. So if you're saying you should come back at 6, you should be at home as a father by 5 to 6, at least, to make sure that the child by 6 is there. But if you say at home, at 6, but you're coming at 10, your child will come at 5 to 10. So it's something that we should be aware of. But anyway, the child who's addicted might need treatment.
Mana family and our extended family, I know that you have probably learned more than you expected to learn, but that is what we offer here at Mana Tabernacle. We go the extra measure just for you guys to learn exceptional things and things that you can't find anywhere else. So, in that sense, can you please share with us anything that you've wanted to share that we might not have asked or might not have touched on?
Okay. In closing, let us be aware that substance abuse can affect you directly or indirectly. Directly in effect that you are the one using, you may have health effects, long-term effects and everything, and also your family and at large. And then indirectly, so your substance use may lead you to stealing, may lead you to commit crime, may lead you to being involved in accidents wherein you take lives of people who are innocent. So don't say because my child is not using, because no one in my house is not using, it does not affect you. It affects us all as a society, because you might be sitting alone with your family having some good time and someone comes in to steal some of your properties. So it's something that together we need to work on. Don't look at another child and mock them when you see them in the street, when you see them using and stuff. They might be recruiting your child at that time. So let us be together in fighting this, in making sure that our children are safe, they're not exposed to these things. We make sure that what we keep in our house also, it's not something that might lead our children to using when they are distressed or when they are under any kind of problems or challenges. So substance abuse indirectly, it leads to a lot of things, gender-based violence, a lot of things. So when someone is under the influence, they do anything which is can be harmful to other people. And also young people, let us be mindful of the things of what we call defense mechanism. When someone approaches you and you are using substances, or your family or whoever, they have noted it at an earliest stage. Be thankful for that person, because that person is approaching you to help you before you fall into the ditch. Don't be in denial. Accept that you have a problem if you really are using substances. It doesn't matter whether it's now at an accelerated rate or you're still experimenting. Be mindful that someone out there cares and someone can be able to see that you have a problem. Don't try to blame the situation you find yourself in, because some people will tell me, yeah, now I've used substances because of poverty. So I will ask that person, so tell me, after drinking, when you go home, did you find groceries somewhere in the kitchen? Because if you say it's poverty, after drinking or after using that, did everything else that you drink because of it change? Nothing has changed. And also some people, they try to make excuses. They justify why they use. Hey, I was sad. Hey, my parents this and that and that. No. It shouldn't be like that. And also some, when their parents have seen that now they are using, or someone else have identified that they're using, people, they start to minimize. They no longer use more often or more frequent, but they didn't stop anyway, or they change their spot. If that person was using at home, now they start to use maybe outside their house because they don't leave any evidence unattended. And then also some, they even divert, they change the subject when someone tried to talk to them. So let us be mindful, young people. Let us not try to find excuses for to use substances. When someone has already picked it up, it means you yourself have never seen that it's a problem. So be careful of what other people see in you. That is a sign of changing. It's a sign of you realizing that I'm now out of hand. I need to go back to my old self and look at my life and do the good things that I'm supposed to do, because I am telling you, the journey, it's not going to end well. Once you start, there is no water I've never used. You have used before. So when you have used before, you are next to the next stage. You can't say I've reversed, you have used. From using now, the next stage is socially using.
And then, in order for you to be accessible to other people, may you please share your contact details or a way that they can be accessible to you.
Okay, if anyone needs help, needs someone to talk to, you can find me on 073 299 847. So I'm not working on a private sector, so I'm willing to help outside my office. For someone who just need to talk to or need advice or any guidance or anything, it will be free of charge. Then you can call me and then we can talk about that. And also those who want to send an email, it's eugeniabaloyi@gmail.com. Eugenia spelled EUGINEABALOYI@gmail.com. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much to our youth. Exam season is approaching, and as we prepare for our exams, we have a session based specifically that targets exam preparation and study skills, and you can refer back to that. Ensure that you succeed in your exams and that you do not get overwhelmed when this season approaches. Also, here at Mana Tabernacle, the month of October is dedicated to our family month, and in in commemoration of our family month, I'd like to read a piece written by our very own Pindulo Mangai. She says, family is a lot of manifestations. It's not always the people you're blood related to. Family can be your youth leaders, friends, colleagues, and teammates. It's the people you can always rely on, who will support you and push you to do your utmost best. It's people you know have your back, your front, your right, and your left. The people you can call or text at any time or day at night. You know that they will always come through for you. One thing COVID has taught us is that we have no idea what life holds. It's very unpredictable. So take this opportunity to thank and appreciate everyone you consider family. Not because one day they may be gone, but because right now they're right by your side. I'd also like to thank Miss Baloyi for availing herself to come and educate us about substance abuse. I hope you guys were very well educated, and I hope that you will share this link so that your friends can also be educated the way that you were educated. And I also like to thank our overseer, senior pastors, our God-fearing leaders, the media team, the listeners, and of course our viewers and the Mana family for tuning in. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of our session. I'd like to thank you for tuning in, and I really hope you learned just as much as I did, and I hope you share the link with people so that they can learn just as much as we have throughout the session. And on that note, I'd like to encourage you to tune in every Saturday 4 p.m. on this very platform. Our sessions are also found on our YouTube page at Mana Tabernacle Church, and I'd also like to encourage you to tune in every weekday, as there is something that you can receive from each and every single one of our sessions each and every single day. So on that note, please tune in, and I promise you, you won't regret it. Thank you for your time.